Good morning, everyone. This is Mike and Quinn filling in for Blair this morning. I just wanted to give you a heads up. I kicked off the YouTube live stream, and I'll mute the boardroom until the start of the meeting. It should be soon. Thank you.
That's a good thing.
Oh, a lot of times. It's an enemy. Oh, we all do.
Good morning, everyone. It is 10:02 a.m. My name is John Martin, Chairman of the County Development Committee, and I call that committee's meeting of August 16th, 2022 to order. I would ask first that the clerk please call the roll.
Brown,
Brown here.
Berman,
Burns here.
Ford, Iqbal,
Iqbal present.
Kenyon,
Here.
Winnicki,
Present.
Braz,
Roger.
Caius,
Guys present.
Pirog, Shipro, Margin,
Martin present.
quorum.
We have minutes before us, draft minutes of July 19th. Please may I have a motion to approve. Ms. Winnicki
Winnicki
moves,
moves.
Mr. Fry seconds. Do we have comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Brown, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Winnicki,
Yes.
Braz,
Yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Margin.
Minutes stand approved. Our monthly financials. I think everything is attached. I see. Anybody want to make a report? Okay. Public comment. I'm aware of none. There's no one present in the room. I then move to item 5, Building and Zoning Division, our Building and Zoning Report. Mr. Van Kerkhoff.
Good morning. Thank you. This morning, our building and zoning team continues to be busy processing permits and doing inspections. And I don't have anything else significant to report other than we are preparing for the Live Golf Tournament. We are doing those temporary structures on the golf course under our agreement with the Village of Sugar Grove. So we'll be handling that. Our team is working with the Live Golf folks on that. Other than that, we're doing well and keeping busy, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Ms. Winnicki?
Mr. Chairman, I hope this is the right place for this question, but Mark, there were two former county board members, Becky Gillum and John Hoshite, that were concerned about the discharging of firearms. And I know I had a situation like that in my district, and as well as I think Chairman Martin, I think years ago. Am I correct?
I did.
But so I read an email that you did contact, I think, Jamie Musser, our state's attorney, and are we working on that? Trying to strengthen the laws on that?
Yes, we are. I'm working with State Attorney Jamie Mosser and her team, the Sheriff's Office. I was consulting with Chairman Martin, and we're working to have some proposed discussion and any changes go through the Judicial and Public Safety Committee. Those would be items that would be enforced by the Sheriff's Office, and also working with Chairman Molina, and that should be on their agenda for September 15th.
Okay, could you give us an update then at the September, at our development committee in September?
Yeah, I'd be
At the
happy.
Judiciary, yeah.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay,
I don't want to put words in Mark's mouth, but I think that the essential change in circumstances on a current level is that there's actually concern not only of the aggravation of having the noise of the firearms nearby, but the manner in which the activities conducted has actually put people at physical risk. And that's kind of the change in the complexion of the discussion. Am I
And you did a.
Correct with that?
Yeah, that's correct. I met with John Hoshite and your
Uh-huh.
constituents to further, clarify what their concern was. And we have concerns in a few districts. So
Yeah, I know the gentleman I was working with in Elgin, his children couldn't even go play in the backyard because the farmette next door, there was like a,
What I'm gonna do.
like their friends over and have like a shooting range in their backyard. So it's a serious issue.
Every month, and I'll.
My-
do-
The issue in my district was resolved by the fact that the owner of the property passed away.
Oh, there you
So-
go. Or moved away.
Where'd they handle it down in Geneva?
Was it a gunshot
Yeah.
one?
Anything else of Mr. Van Kerkhoff? We have no zoning petitions today, but we do have a new ordinance draft to review.
yes, thank you. Last month I covered a memo and a time frame for some our growing for cane and agriculture team and zoning team wanting to update recommendations to our zoning ordinance that would bring our zoning ordinance more in line with what we're hearing from our local growers, what they're experiencing in terms of what kind of produce stands and agritourism and things that are successful and good for our local economy and good for our local food production. I have with me this morning Tony Ferrugia, who's one of our planning team. Originally came to us working with strictly with our zoning ordinance, is now working with our planning team on agricultural issues, and wanted to credit him for his work on researching other county and best practice zoning practices to come up with some updated definitions and some working with our team to meld those with what our local growers are experiencing. Last month, you concurred for us to go ahead and prepare a draft text. As I mentioned, we had taken some discussion to our King County Farm Bureau Board. They gave us some good input, which actually resulted in some changes in a couple of the definitions to make it clear, and we appreciate that input. So this morning you have in your packet actually the draft text changes related to agritourism and related to local farm stands growing. There's an additional definition to have a different definition for home occupations as they relate to agricultural uses, which will give some of our value added operations more flexibility to utilize an accessory structure for doing their canning or baking or whatever operation they might be doing relative to their home occupation. So those are in your packet this morning. I'm happy to discuss those in detail if you have any questions. Otherwise, what we're looking for this morning is for your concurrence for us to send this on to the Zoning Board of Appeals to set a public hearing in September. And then that would be back before you as the actual text amendment and resolution in September for the county board to consider. So with that, I'm happy to go over in detail or just answer your questions and forward it on.
I'd like to make a comment. I like the idea of opening or leveling the playing field or opening the doors a little wider. At least I've noticed when you go to the 1 or 2 or 3 available farm stands, they have pretty much a corner on the cost of tomatoes or whatever it is you buy. And I like the idea of there being some competition and more general availability. So. Anything else? Thank you. I think the consensus is move this forward, and thank you for the effort. It's kind of fun to read the thought that went into it. So.
Great, thank
I
you.
don't know if I'm supposed to use fun in the context of drafting ordinances, but. All right, planning and special projects. We have a staff report attached.
Yeah, the usual staff report is attached. Some of the other activities of our planning team, we report most of those to Jobs Committee, Energy and Environmental, and to Agriculture Committee, which is in just 2 days. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have based on our planning team's work.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is the Lot 19 Meadow Ridge subdivision matter, which you will recall we continued until today in anticipation that staff and KDOT and the property owner could perhaps address some of the issues we raised. I don't believe that process is yet concluded. I can see by the nod of Ms. Walnick's head that that's the case. So I would request of somebody a motion that we table this until next month's meeting for the same purpose we did last time.
Oneki moves.
Ms. Winnicky moves, Mr. Kenyon seconds. Please call the roll.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Winnicke,
Yes,
Braz,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Margin.
Martin, yes.
Table.
Environmental resources, do we have anything? Or water resources? Mr. Berger? Short of your presentation this morning, do we have anything else?
Good morning, Mr. Martin. We do not have any business items before you today.
Okay. We have, I'm not aware of any new business. Does anybody have anything to bring up? For that, we will begin our 23 budget presentations. First is development and community services.
Good morning. Yeah, I guess I get to go first this morning on behalf of our Development Community Services Department. Thank you. Next slide, please. So just to give you an overview of some of the programs that our department oversees, our building and zoning, code enforcement for building and zoning activities, our administrative adjudication program, those all fall under the general fund budget. Some other programs that cross over and are also funded by some of the special funds, some of our countywide planning efforts, economic development, our Kane Energy Efficiency Program, farmland preservation, and our Growing for Kane local food businesses. The special fund budgets that those activities fall under are being reported to the other committees that they are involved with, Jobs Committee and Agriculture. Next slide, please. Our team also provides county board committee support to county development this morning, agriculture, jobs, and we contribute to energy environmental, which Director Welnick and her team provide the primary support to. Next slide, please. Here's our organizational chart. We have 19 total positions at this time, 16 full-time and 3 part-time. There's basically 2 divisions, planning and projects, building and zoning, and then our administrative support team, which does primarily building permits, but they cross over and handle other functions for payroll and bills and committee work for agendas. And there are no subdirectors. Everyone on our team is a direct report to myself. Next slide, please. So this is a summary of the different funds. We're going to be talking about the general fund this morning, which is 690. These, I understand from finance, the draft summary and detail documents have been posted on the website for your review. Generally, as you may have heard from other committees, the drafts that are out there are without any salary adjustments being added, as we did not have a percentage for salary adjustment increases that were available at the time that we submitted our budgets. So that's important to note at this time as well. The other funds, as I mentioned, are being reported to other appropriate committees. Next slide, please. So this is a general fund budget. You can see we are projecting a increase in revenue, mostly due to building permits, zoning, our Keep CPACE program, cable TV, all those are revenues to the general fund through our programs. And then you can see on our expenses, generally it's like it has been over the last years, a flat budget, which is mostly in the area of personnel and benefits. This year, we are proposing 3 additional headcount, which would be for a proposed property code enforcement unit, which some of you heard some of the discussion on. I did want to note that even though it does not have a percentage increase for salaries across the board, does have 3 additional positions that we're proposing budgeted, that the proposed budget is still well over $500,000 revenue positive. In other words, the programs that the staffing that you see here do the administration for far exceeds the expense to do those programs, even with the 3 additional positions. Next slide, please. So this is text out of the taken out of the forms that are submitted in the budget for justifying the new positions. But the proposed Kane County Property Code Enforcement Unit would enforce the county code and various ordinance related to the use of parcels of land to protect health, safety, and welfare. For the taxable year 2021, the total fair cash value for real property just in the unincorporated area was over $7 billion. So there's a lot at stake in terms of preserving land values and maintaining our county ordinances. Currently, the enforcement is done by staffs of various departments, none of whom are specifically assigned to code enforcement on a full-time basis. And then adding that unit would provide for professional trained full-time staff to fulfill this role. It's important to note they would coordinate enforcement between the departments and the state's attorney's office in regards to building, zoning, which fall under the team I work with, but also stormwater floodplain, which falls under Director Welnick's, special event permits, which my department and team currently does on behalf of the county board office. Those special event permits are actually signed off by our Madam Chairman. And then nuisances and property maintenance type items, which are combined enforcement of health department and our team and the sheriff's office. So it really bring, all the different things related to property use and nuisance and violations sort of in one single channel. We're proposing that there would be a property code enforcement officer who would manage the program, and staff would be the appointed enforcement officer for the county, and be somebody who has specific experience in training in property code enforcement. That's actually a recognized credentialed position, career type position that most municipalities and a lot of counties, even smaller than us, have in place. And then to work with them, a property code inspector, administrative assistant. They would also work coordinating with bringing things through, working with the property owner, with our administrative adjudication activities, and if necessary, working with our state's attorney's office. And a lot of the goal of this also would be that they would be able to more effectively handle things before they get to the state's attorney, the circuit court system, to alleviate the load on the state's attorney's office. Next slide, please. So there's been some discussion where would a property code enforcement unit land in terms of administration, and for this purposes of the budget and for organization, we're proposing that the unit would become part of the development department of those 3 positions. But I want to note that they would be, in a sense, working for multiple departments and the county board on all these various property related ordinance enforcement items. And then again, just to note that the addition of this team would still be revenue positive. And that's just for the development department. Director Welnick and other departments also have revenues that generally go to the general fund, but this would come out of the development department budget. And again, salary adjustments aren't included at this time in our budget. Next slide, please. Okay, now I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the presentation or our proposed budget.
Nice photo.
So
Thank
you
you.
you have no general staff salary increases in your budget?
We have not been given a percentage to add in, so the budget as it's on the website does not have that in. We're definitely hoping, I joined, I think, the other department directors and encouraging the county board to come up with a number with finance committee to allow us to give increases to our departments. I understand that the cost to staff for health benefits is most likely going to be going up. So if that were to go up and there was a 0% increase for salary adjustments, our teams would be making less money next year.
Sure. No, I understand. I
as
just
a-
wanted to make
as a
sure that
net,
everybody
so.
was understanding that that issue yet needs to be addressed by the board. Anything else? Thank you. Ms. Womack.
Thank you. This morning we have before you the FY '23 budget for the Environmental and Water Resources Department. I just wanted to review quickly how we're spread amongst multiple committees within the county, and that obviously Development Committee is our primary committee. I've listed for your information the tasks that our department runs that fall under specifically Development Committee. One of the secondary committees that we report to is the Energy Environment Committee, and have quite a few items that are reported to that committee as well. We also report to the Administration Committee, all of our energy efficiency programs, the water management plan, and the natural gas and electrical aggregation fall under that committee. And then we also report to the Agricultural Committee, and that's a lot of our agricultural water quality and our drainage district work that we do within our department. The org chart is up above. We actually consist of 3 sub-departments: water resources, environmental management, and subdivision plat officer activities that all fall under and report directly to the county board. And we, as we have done in the past since the construction of the cross-country course, you will see this reflected in our budget. We continue to shift salaries from the 650 budget into the general fund as agreed to with that reduction in our 650 fund from the cross-country course construction. As Director Van Kerkhoff noted, the salaries listed above do not have any percentage increase, as we had not been directed by the county board as to what percentage that would be. So these are salaries reflective of FY 2022. Just a quick review of our various funds that we have that fall under our department. The first 2 funds are our general fund numbers, and you see that increase of 7.8%. That again is shifting the salaries from 650 into the general fund. We're really close to getting all those salaries shifted over. And so we expect next year will be the final 3rd person that will be shifted over into the general fund. Our fee in lieu of detention is, there's no projects planned for that, so there's a 0% increase. For the Riverboat Fund, the 405, we are using cash on hand for the cost share program next year, and have received the Riverboat funding for our NPDES program, which does our river gauges and our educational program as we're required to do under our MS4 permit. Our Wetland 420 fund is increasing quite significantly. We have a number of different projects in that fund that does not use any general fund money. It's all fee in lieu that is paid for wetlands that are filled in as part of our stormwater management ordinance. Electric aggregation, we're expecting a 0% increase because we're still under the Eligo contract for 2023. And then, as I mentioned, 650, we're shifting that salary out into the general fund. So you're seeing a decrease there. And then as well, our SSA levies are decreasing because we have a number of our loans expiring. So specifically to go through, I have included the spreadsheets for each item, each fund. Specifically, if there's any questions, there's not a whole lot more to report on these. Again, the Wetland Mitigation Fund, we do have some additional projects and contractual funds requested to be used next year for fee in lieu creation of wetlands. 650, the main change is that salary shift in FY 22. We have 0.664, about 2/3 of a person in this fund, and we're reducing that to 1/3. So 1/3 of a person is moving over to the general fund. I would also note in this fund, this was presented at E&E committee. When I became director, we were depleting this fund at about $200,000 a year. This year, we are reducing that depletion amount to about $20,000. And so we expect to have this fund balanced by next year. Electric aggregation is flat. We have 1/3 of one of our salaries coming out of this, and those funds come in from our electric aggregation project. Our general fund is increasing at that 1/3 of a person. Again, there's no salary increases for our employees because we are not directed yet as to what that percentage will be. The 405 cost share drainage has our NPDS funds as well as our cost share program. We're utilizing that rollover for the cost share drainage and then the new funding for the NPDS program. And finally, our SSAs, these are older subdivisions that have chosen to work together without a homeowners association and have funding to do drainage projects. Many of the loans are 10-year loans and those loans are expiring. So this revenue and the loan payments have decreased significantly because those loans are expiring. And that's our budget for FY 23. Any questions?
Questions of Ms. Woolman? At some point, could somebody kind of give me an idea as to what we consider to be the long-term vitality of the riverboat funds? I mean, they come up in 2 or 3 contexts. Maybe Mr. Cayos, the chairman of the river.
You're looking at me?
It's not
You're looking at
technically
me?
riverboat. I think it's.
Yeah, well,
Grand
it has been
Casino.
declining year on year until this last time, and we've got a significant boost.
But the last
Especially-
time, was the last time an anomaly because people were coming back in after the pandemic? Or, I mean, we need.
I'll tell you next year, for sure.
Well, do we have any idea? I guess my point
I don't
is,
think there's any,
we need to take a
Just-
tough look at our allocation of those funds because everything would seem to indicate that they're going to continue to diminish.
Mr. Berger might have, is Mr. Berger still on?
I didn't mean to take
Yes,
Scott's.
I am
fire
on
away from
line.
him.
I
Might
guess,
have some
Mr.
insight into
Martin,
this.
Well,
I think,
guess
Mr. Martin, I think
maybe
my
maybe this becomes a segue into your.
Well, we're not including the Riverboat Fund in our budget presentation this morning, but I guess I would indicate to you that the Riverboat Casino is, although it's a consistent funding source for the county, it is not, it should not be considered a reliable funding source. So our recommendation to you would be to only fund programming from that fund that is on a year-to-year basis and can be eliminated or terminated, simply because we have really very little way of predicting what that revenue stream will be.
But we do, I noticed I was in a Brown's Fried Chicken and there was a person sitting at their video poker game, and I thought, who goes to Brown's Fried Chicken to play video poker? So I would assume that continues to place stress on,
Oh, my God.
I'm sure.
Yes.
to a point where they're going to be
Good way to spend a Sunday afternoon.
at Brown's Fried Chicken.
Oh, yeah, with a $20 bill.
20.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Was your hand up, Chris?
No.
Okay.
Declining.
All right. Scott, then take it away.
All right, if I can ask for our budget presentation to be pulled up on the screen. Thank you very much. So this is our budget presentation for our Community Development Division. Just a reminder, the Community Development Division reports to the Development Committee, while our Workforce Development Division reports to the Jobs Committee and is overseen by our Workforce Development Board, which covers a 3-county area. So this morning we prepared for you a summary of our Community Development Division budget. If I can go on to the next slide, please. And for county fiscal year 2023, we are projecting that our various special revenue funds will total approximately $6.25 million. These funds come to us primarily from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. As we just discussed, our division also administers funding from the Grand Victoria Casino in Elgin. And that budget for Fund 120 has already been reviewed and approved by the Riverboat Committee, chaired by Mr. Caius. And together, our various federal funding sources for community development support a really wide array of programming aimed at improving the community, especially in regards to housing quality, improving neighborhood infrastructure, and providing critical social services, especially to our homeless population. For fiscal year 2023, we do expect our staffing needs to increase from 10 to 11 full-time employees, and we have budgeted for that expense. Next slide, please. This is our org chart for the Community Development Division. It captures our projected staffing plan of 11 full-time employees. And I want to note the salaries you see on this slide represent our current staff salaries, as well as fringe benefits based on the rates provided to us by the Finance Department. We have not yet included any increases, as my colleagues, Mr. Vankerkopf and Ms. Wolnick have noted, but our office would recommend the county budget a minimum of 2% for total salaries for across the board increases. And we also would recommend that you establish another 2% in a pool to cover merit increases so that we can reward our staff whose job performance goes above and beyond expectations. And if I could ask for our final slide, this is basically a roll-up of our various special revenue funds that our Community Development Division administers. You can see the fund numbers are listed at the top of the slide. I won't run through those, but they do include the county's Community Development Fund, the City of Elgin's Community Development Fund, our Home Affordable Housing Fund, the St. Charles Housing Trust Fund, and our various homeless initiatives, which we've talked about in previous committee meetings. Overall, we are projecting that our overall budget from year to year will increase by a little over 5%. And that concludes our presentation for you today. The increase is primarily due to increases from the federal government in our formula allocations. And I just want to emphasize that nothing in our budget includes a general revenue from the county. Mr. Martin?
Members of the committee, any comments or questions? Your last statement was probably the most salient part of our budget review. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 13, may I have a motion, please, to place reports on file?
Berman, second.
Mr. Ford moves, Mr. Berman seconds. Clerk, please call the roll.
Berman,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Iqbal,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Winicky,
Yes.
Bras,
Yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Martin.
Martin, yes. Reports are on file. I have no notification of any necessary executive sessions, so we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Mr. Kenyon, seconded by,
Oh, no.
You can stay if you want.
can't object until we have a second.
I just want to say.
Who seconded?
Berman or Brown.
All right. Your objection, sir.
Oh, it was too early, so I can't Bring it back.
Oh, okay. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. Motion is adjourned. Our meeting is adjourned at 10:36
You're out of
a.m.
touch with
record time,
everybody
sir?
Right now.
Yeah. Great.